Hello, I'm Kevin Gerstner, a UI UX designer for games, and today I wanted to share my concept for a new hero UI experience for Overwatch 2. So, the background for this project is that I've been playing Overwatch 1 since launch, and then also Overwatch 2 since its launch. And there's a system that came out in Season 6, the progression system. And the idea behind the system was to reward the player for basically having playtime on their hero, allowing them to level up each individual hero instead of just their career level. And I think this is a really great idea in concept. But since Season 6, I think that it hasn't really received a major update, and it was received in a pretty mixed state. Since I play the game quite a bit myself, I can just say from my own personal experience, it's not something that I particularly look at, and I think that's definitely a missed opportunity because I think it should be. So that's kind of the background for this. My goals for this project were to make the core hero systems more engaging, intuitive, and rewarding. I also wanted to create a stronger player-hero connection and then have that be tied in with some expression. And then my third goal was something that I realized would be helpful during this process, which is to simplify the navigation between the core game menus, and then to also just have a centralized hub for all of your hero information. So I'm going to jump into the live game and kind of walk through what the experience looks like currently as you're using these systems. So if I go to, for example, Tracer, this progression system is linked currently in this small button over to the right, and that actually takes you to a separate UI inside of the career profile. So you can actually get there from the main menu if you click your career profile and go to progression heroes. So kind of two different ways to get there. But from my initial user studies, we found that it was a little bit confusing that it lived in this space. The assumption for both of my testers was that this information would be on the hero page, not in the career profile. So either way, this is what the current progression system looks like. There's experience and you have a overall level, but then over on the right, you also have these sub badges for different statistics for each hero, and they are different depending on what the hero is. So D.Va has light gun damage, Tracer has, for example, pulse bombs attached. So that's what that looks like currently, and then there's also a statistics page where you can select a specific hero and then view in more detail some statistics. So when I ran my user tests, basically trying to find these bits of information, for example, eliminations on Tracer, it took quite a few steps and a lot of missed actions to get to this screen in order to find that information. And overall, there was some confusion between the difference of the statistics on the progression versus the statistics tab. So that's basically what I wanted to address with this. So for my process on this project, we started with a player journey. As I mentioned, I had two players go through several tasks, and that kind of is what helped me identify what my goals for the project were. From that, I created a paper prototype and flowchart, which led into wireframes. From that wireframes, I ran another set of usability tests, and then after those usability tests, I made a few edits to the wireframes, from which I created a style guide and then the final mockups. And then after the mockups were tested, then I checked the accessibility for that. So I just wanted to run through each of those steps. So start with the player journey. Essentially, I had several players run through some of those screens as I just showed and took notes on what they were thinking throughout. And overall, my takeaway was that there was a lot of confusion navigating those systems. After that, I started to formulate my solution for that problem, which started with a paper prototype and then a flowchart. So for the paper prototype, I kind of started brainstorming ways to group these actions together in a different way than they are currently in the live game. And then I created a flowchart that kind of went through some of the specific ideas of how those would connect. After that, I created wireframes. You can preview that here as a Figma prototype and kind of click through my initial idea. I'm just going to skip that until the final UI, but this was a really good way to just iterate without having to worry too much about the artwork. And then from that, I gained some user study feedback and made a few minor edits to the UI. So then let's get into the major system. So the first thing I started with was gathering some UI references and then creating a mood board to make sure that any new changes fit within the current system. And for me, that included creating a new visual identity for the progression system, which I'll get into a little bit later. All right, so now I'm here in my Figma prototype that I've set up for the new updated Hero UI. And I wanted to walk through basically with interaction what this new system looks like. So the first thing is the new global UI. So if you go into any screen, for example, the Battle Pass, you'll now see this new menu bar up at the top that still contains your career profile, friends, and more options. But now it also has quick access actions that you can take to get to the core systems of the game. So for example, the heroes page or the challenges or the shop, previously those were buried inside of the additional options menu. So bringing those out reduced the number of actions required by 50% in my tests. Next, we'll jump into the hero page. You can still see that global UI showing up here on all those pages. I'm going to demonstrate this with Tracer, so I'll go ahead and jump into the new hero UI. So when you first enter the hero page, you'll now see a overview tab. There's a tabbed system up in the top right. This allows for a lot more information to be shared about each hero while still maintaining a clean user interface overall. So on the overview tab, what you can see is the hero's name, role, and then their level, which is their progression, as well as a short paragraph explaining some backstory very simply about that hero and what they might do in combat. Over on the right, you'll also see a checkbox to showcase that hero, which allows you to manually select the heroes that show up in your showcase on the career profile. You'll also see two new buttons here for the training range and hero mastery, which allows you to test out that hero in different ways. Next, we'll jump over to the Abilities tab, which is new. The Abilities tab is a much more visually appealing way of showing off and helping new players especially understand new heroes. So you can see on the left, there's a list of each of their abilities, and then on the right, there will be an auto-playing video that shows that ability being used in real time. And then if you click the Details tab, you can also see additional information about each ability, including specific stats like their damage, ammo capacity, fall-off range, and more, depending on the hero. You'll also see on the left side, there's arrows that indicate changes based on the last patch, which allows you to quickly see if a hero got buffed or nerfed, and in which ways. So I'll go ahead and hide that. This also allows for a much more engaging way of seeing the new perk system. So if you click on a perk, you can now see a video preview of that perk being used in action, which should help new players more quickly understand that system. And from my own test, the player that I did a player profile on stated that with the old system, they felt about a 6 out of 10 in terms of being able to jump into a game. And then with this new system, they rated it a 9 out of 10 on being able to just jump into a game after viewing the screen, which I think is a big improvement. So that's abilities. For cosmetics, pretty much everything is about the same as it was before. No need to fix what ain't broke. The one major change here, this is more of an aesthetic thing that I think is a lot of fun. Previously, all of the backgrounds show, I believe, just a static image of the training range, but I thought it would make a lot more sense and maybe have players connect more to their hero if the background represented where that hero is from. So here I've mocked up Tracer in her hometown of King's Row in London, and I think that it just provides a little bit more personality to each player page. Next, this is going to be the major system overhaul, is the updated progression. So for this screen, you'll see that now on the right side, there's a list in kind of a grid view of all of your statistics, and the progression system is integrated into the hero page. This would still appear in the career profile, but I think also having it in the hero page just allows for some more options depending on how players want to view that information. So you'll see on the right side a couple of new things that I wanted to call out. First, in the top left corner of each card, you'll see a star. That actually allows you to customize the 3 different sub badges that are shown on your card. As I was talking about earlier, one of my major goals was player expression. And so being able to customize the 3 things that you want to show off to other people, I think will definitely improve the use of this system overall. The next thing is that I've combined the statistics and the progression badges just to simplify everything. So all statistics now are going to have their own dedicated card, and so there's no need to have both of those systems. For hero statistics, it's all going to be found in the progression. And you can see that at the top left of this screen, there's also 3 different options to customize the views. So you can change the time frame of the statistics that you want to view, the modes that you want to view, and then also you can customize the view to show either a grid view or a list view, just depending on if you want to see it in a more compact fashion. The next thing you might notice is I've added some new statistics, and this is something that I think will improve the system and make it something that players really want to customize and show off their own unique playstyles. So here you can see in this box, I've highlighted mercy eliminations. So I think having hero-specific statistics that you can highlight will really make it so that you can show off. Maybe there's a specific hero that you really like bullying or something like that. And so you can select a hero from this statistic to add to your show card. Next, I'm going to go to the hero level screen in the progression. There's, by the way, a tab system on the left that allows you to kind of dive into the progression systems in different ways. So for the hero level, I took inspiration from the UI from the current Battle Pass system, and my goal was to really gamify the progression system so that you feel just more interested in engaging with the system overall. So you can see at the bottom here, you'll see the rewards that you get based on your hero level when you level up, and then also which badges you're going to gain at a certain level, which is currently something that you just can't see. There's no information on that. So you can jump between pages to see, like, once you hit level 100, what your badge will look like, for example. Next, this is a new challenges page for each hero, and the idea behind this one is to create challenges that are very specific to each hero's playstyle, and that rewards basically like engaging with each hero in different ways. And the rewards for these are in hero experience. I created this new icon here to represent hero XP. And so, for example, with this first challenge, if you stick 30 pulse bombs to enemies, you would gain an additional 6,000 XP boost to your hero's level. Currently, there's no real incentive other than just playtime in terms of leveling up your hero. So I think adding challenges that are specific to that hero that give you progression will make that system just feel a little bit more sticky and maybe something that is engaged with a little more. And then lastly, for the competitive players, I wanted to add in a leaderboard, and this allows you to go in and really view how you stack up based on your friends, or maybe on a regional level, and you can see, who's the highest level tracer on my friends list, for example. So that's just a little extra fun thing to the progression system. Next up is the new history section. Previously, there's been only one history section, which is found in the career profile, and it only allowed you to view all of your games. So my idea here is that it would be interesting just to view your games on a specific hero. So the new hero-specific history tab, you can see your top 3 highlights, which you can pin. You can also rename those to something custom, just so that you remember what it is. And then you can also view your recently captured gameplay footage. And then in the game reports tab, you'll see all of the games where you specifically played that hero for more than 5 minutes. And so that'll quickly allow you to jump into the replays and maybe clip something that you wanted to show off on your highlights. And then last tab, this is the new lore experience. I think that the real strength of Overwatch are the heroes. They're very strong, and there's a lot of really great multimedia experiences like cinematics, the comics, even just notes and things that are found on other platforms like social media could be posted in here. And you could quickly look through and rewatch all of your old favorite videos on each hero. And then on the left, there's just a longer description about each hero. I took these from the wiki, but I'm sure that they could be customized. And then also just some faction information and what country that they are from. So overall, that is the new hero user interface, as well as the global UI. And I just wanted to dive into that and kind of explain more in detail. As I stated before, there were some really impressive outcomes from the player studies. I did a A/B test from both players on the live game versus that prototype version, and I found that the efficiency improved by 50%, largely due to that new global UI. Overall, the accuracy of all of the actions reduced by 80%, which is great. There was only 1 missed action on the new prototype versus 5 missed actions on the live game. And then the comfort of entering a game, as I mentioned, increased from a 5 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 with the ability previews. And from the players, the overall rating for completing tasks increased from a 6 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the system. I would love to see some of these changes come into the game live, and I hope the dev team kind of considers some of these moving forward.